Hi everyone. We are very welcome you on our today's event. Give us a few more minutes. We will fix every technical issues. I'll get back to you with our event. We're already live on our YouTube and Telegram and trying to go live on LinkedIn. We'll get back soon. Just give us a few more minutes. Thank you for your waiting. Okay, so today we will have our stream on YouTube and Telegram. Unfortunately, LinkedIn had some tech issues with our account, so we can't do it on LinkedIn. So please join us on YouTube and Telegram. We've already made an announcement, and you will see the links in on our social media pages. So today we would like to talk about crypto regulations, and I will be your host. My name is Petro, and I'm senior investment analyst at 3x Capital. And before we start, let me briefly tell you about 3x Capital and what we are doing. So let's start with a brief introduction. So we are a digital asset investment fund. We invest in blockchain startups, equity, and tokens. We consider startup for investments on early stage, seed stage startups. Also, we look at our company not as a regular venture fund, but more like ecosystem, where we're providing advisory services for startups, supporting them with fundraising and marketing activities. Also, we have our investment club, which is called 3x Club, and it is a community of individuals who meet to invest together in Web3 startups. And also inside this club, some educational events and pitch events from startups are organized by 3x Capital team. If you would like to join us and invest together into Web3 startups, feel free to go to our website, submit a form, or message anyone from our team. Also, one more direction on which we are working and really proud of is our Web3 education program. And it's a unique program in Metaverse where during 8 weeks, students, actually not students, we are targeting broad audience from investors, startup founders, crypto traders, and switchers who are switching from Web2 to Web3. And it's a 8-week program where you can find some fundamental knowledge on real investment cases. We are showing our operations inside fund, how we are analyzing startups, and how we actually make an investment. So if you are interested, also please go to our website. You will find all the information there, and you can message us if you will have any questions. And moving to today's event, I'm glad to introduce our speaker who will present the article about crypto regulations. So Ivan is our analyst intern. He has a background in offline business. He's been running businesses for 3 years. He's also experienced crypto day trader, and is managing a community with more than 1 million followers. And Ivan was a participant of our education program and currently is in our internship. So Ivan, before we start, could you please tell our audience more about the program? What was the main benefit for you participating here? Let's give us some feedback about it.
Sure. Yeah. Hello to everyone. Thanks, Petro, for such a warm introduction. Concerning the educational program, I'll be quick. So basically, you'll get all of the required tools for crypto startups assessment. And what's most important, you will get the real-time practice. You will assess a lot of startups. You will have calls with them. You will prepare the deal sheets, and that's really interesting work for me. So I really enjoyed the program. The mentors are perfect. I like it really much, and yeah, I really enjoyed it. That's my feedback.
Okay, thank you. I hope someone from audience will become interested to check this program and actually participate, because we're aiming to bring as many people to Web3 as possible. So feel free to go to our website and check everything. And let's move to our core topic today, why we actually gathered here. So we will talk about crypto regulations, and I'm giving the stage to Ivan. He will present his article to you. And while he presenting, feel free to ask some questions in comments on YouTube or join our Telegram and ask some question in the chat. We will be answering them all after the presentation from Ivan. So I'm giving the stage to you, Ivan. Please proceed with the presentation.
Yeah, thank you so much for the floor. I think all of you would agree that the topic of regulation is very intriguing, tempting, interesting for a lot of people. I'm frequently asked what I think about the regulation, about the future, and my answer would be uncertainty. That's how I would describe the current state of regulation of the crypto. Yeah, a bit disappointing, but not everything is that simple. And by the end of my speech, you'll understand why. I would also like to discuss with you one big problem. So our imagination, our opinion about the regulation is currently very distorted. The reason for that is we receive all the information about regulation from the news. So what we usually hear, SEC banned certain project, China banned mining, etc. Very negative context. For example, the recent cases, US banned centralized staking that was announced by Coinbase founder on Twitter. And the most recent case, the Paxos issues with BUSD, again, the hand of SEC. But that's very one-sided point of view. And actually, a lot of things are happening. A lot of positive things are happening on the other side. So those news, those pieces of thought, I can say that's just the top of the iceberg. And regulations are actually not that bad. I think a lot of people would agree that the taxes from crypto incomes are good. So a lot of people earn from crypto, and they would love to pay taxes and to legalize their funds. But unfortunately, it is not possible everywhere. So crypto is still mostly in the gray zone worldwide. Still, we can earn on crypto, but there are some issues. And that's what we need to discuss. We need to know where all the things are moving towards. And basically, the aim of my today's speech is to describe the basics of the regulations, the mechanics, why it is all for, how it could be going, and the most recent trends. So let's just start. I see Petro has already shared. I will reshare. Yeah. So recently, I wrote an article about crypto regulations, and the topic of my research was the recent trends. You can see Harry Gensler on the background. Please, Petra, confirm that everything is smooth.
Yes, we see the article. Everything is good.
Okay.
You can actually scale it. You can actually scale it to bigger size so we can see the text. Okay. Yeah, perfect.
I think that will be fine. Yeah, so before proceeding to the most recent cases, to the trends, I think we should stop a bit on the basics. So as we see, the crypto users are growing. The crypto is gaining popularity very rapid. And of course, some regulative authorities could not ignore that. So we know that regulation is becoming more and more popular. But why do these authorities like SEC want to regulate crypto? There are not a lot, but some very important reasons for that. So first of all is the protection of investors. So yeah, they want, from one hand, they want to ban some services we use, but from the other hand, they're doing this for our protection. Yeah, it may sound a bit controversial, but if we look at some charts, that's not the most recent data, but still we can see that there are a lot of rug pulls. There are a lot of scams. It's not a secret. And on each bull run, on each hype, we'll only see more scams, and more people will lose money as they're entering the crypto market. So one of the reasons is to save the investors and their money. Probably one of the most important purposes is the prevention of money laundering and terrorist financing. Because crypto is anonymous, you can easily launder the money, and this should be regulated. And there were a lot of cases how terrorism was financed with the help of crypto. So based on this chart, we can also see that there are a lot of accounts of Bitcoin that were used for financing terrorism, for some illicit activities. I think you can check it out a bit later. One more reason is the systemic stability. So as we all know, the crypto market is gaining the market capitalization very rapidly. So it is starting to impact some other financial markets, and this also should be regulated. Again, the consumer protection similar to the investor protection, but that's more about services and more about fraudulent activities. So again, we can see that the scams, at least since 2020, significantly rise. And probably one of the most significant reasons, in my opinion, that this one is the most significant, is the tax evasion. So even if you earn on crypto, you cannot pay taxes in a lot of authorities. In some, there already exist some possibilities to pay taxes, but in the most of the world, you cannot do that. So here on the map, you can check the distribution of the tax laws. So there are some tax laws worldwide. You can see in Argentina, in South Africa, Spain, Italy. So in these countries, you theoretically can legalize your crypto incomes. And the final issue is the legal status, how we should treat crypto. What is it? Is it a security? Is it a commodity? What is it? I've read the research where most of cryptos were determined as a commodity according to the Hayes test. That's a test that proves that a certain asset is a security. So crypto is not, in general, it's not a security. It's more like a commodity, but it also corresponds to the three main functions of money. So it can be money. And in some countries, it is already a legal tender, like Central Africa, as I believe. Of course, Salvador, the first country who adopted the Bitcoin as a legal tender, and I believe in some other countries already as well. Probably in Brazil, they had such intentions. So there is no common opinion of how should we treat crypto as a commodity, security, or legal tender. So that's the issue we should fix. But there is one more thing no one is talking about, is the disruption of the traditional financial system. Let me describe. So the thing is that crypto has decentralized nature. Its aim is to extract the intermediaries. With the help of smart contracts, we can do basically everything without intermediaries, and that's the future decentralized financial system is completely opposite to the fully centralized financial system which we have right now. So this for sure, the DeFi and the crypto overall is a threat for the classical financial system, and they're probably afraid of their jobs, and it's not likely that they can stop crypto, but it is likely that they would love to lead it, to head it. Not only the financial system, crypto is also a threat to the even political system, because without intermediaries, everything could change. So probably some of the officials are thinking about that, and they're discussing what should they do with crypto. Either ban it because it's a threat, or somehow to collaborate with it to build a better future. We'll discuss it a bit later. So I've found a very nice report, probably the best paper about regulation in 2023. It was prepared by PwC, but we'll have a look at it a bit later. First, let's discuss let's discuss the mechanics of the crypto regulation, what actually the governments and officials could do to protect the consumers, to protect themselves from crypto expansion. So first of all, they could ban cryptocurrency, like the China did. If you didn't know, China banned cryptocurrency for around 8 years already. In 2013 or 2014, they banned all the crypto-related activities. But that's a paradox. A lot of users, crypto users, still remain in China and pretty active, and the portion of mining recovered in China. It's around 20% of miners are back to China. How it is possible if the crypto is banned? That's one of this case is the proof that crypto it couldn't be banned. The ban could be proceeded only through the central organizations like the exchanges, like different service distributors. So this ban could make life harder for the vast majority of consumers, but still the crypto couldn't be banned totally. So yeah, that's also this topic is also related with the second bullet point. The regulation of cryptocurrency exchanges is the main tool that the governments could use to regulate the crypto field, because the exchanges are the main distributors of crypto for the people, and of course some most enthusiastic users can use DEXs and some other exchanges, but the vast majority of the population would be cut from the access to crypto. The third thing the governments could do is to impose taxes on crypto. You would ask how? There are, again, two very common tools. The solutions are already here. So the first is, again, taxes. The centralized exchanges, they should basically just collaborate with the governments and provide the data about the users. And the second option is to create governmental wallets and force people to use them. There is already one case in Salvador. So before they adopted the Bitcoin as a legal tender, they created their own cryptocurrency wallet and forced the population to use it. And this wallet is basically tracking all of the transactions among citizens, so that's how they can actually take taxes. And of course, there will be some evasions, but the solution for crypto taxation exists. And some less important bullet points like monitoring crypto transactions, regulating ICOs, education and awareness. That's also important, but less important that regulating via centralized exchanges and via centralized wallets, etc. And when we figure out the basic things, I suggest you to move to the current state of crypto regulation and to the upcoming trends. So again, moving back to our first statement that our feeling of regulation is distorted and we see only bad news. Of course, that's not the case, because if we look at the map, a lot of countries are currently initiating different regulations in different aspects that is more representable from the PVC report, which we'll move forward a bit later. But first, let's discuss the three main zones. So the main thought is the most recent trend is that the most important authorities like the SEC, the CFTC, they have been actively working on the regulations, and the process is really it has passed the half of the way, and we will see a lot of news by 2025. The United States is probably the locomotive of the crypto regulations, and they're really working on creation of the framework. We'll get a bit more details soon. The Europe also actively working on regulatory framework, but it's more conservative, and it's actually we could only define Switzerland that's made a lot of progress in terms of regulations. And in China, the situation is more interesting. We have Japan, where the cryptocurrency regulatory framework exists and it's well developed. South Korea, same. They are working very active as the United States on crypto regulations. We have Singapore that has almost legalized crypto. We have Hong Kong, that's the Chinese initiative to create a crypto hub in Hong Kong, and they recently legalized the crypto transactions for retail traders and retail for regular consumers. But on the other hand, the China mainland, it remained a ban for crypto, but they are trying to create a crypto hub in the Hong Kong. So from this information and from the metrics above, we could come to some conclusions about the problems of the current state of the regulations. So the most important problem is lack of global consensus. That's the biggest challenge that is actually pushing us backwards from the normal world with regulated crypto. So we've seen that on the map, a lot of countries, a lot of countries are highlighted with different colors. That means that different countries use different approaches. They implement different solutions for crypto regulation, and it's very complex. It's hard to coordinate the regulatory framework. The world is under the motto of globalism, so the transactions are passing worldwide, and such disorganization is very bad for the global regulatory framework. So when the China has banned crypto and the US has legalized, for example, it's not really good for the final consumer. So this should be fixed. Again, some issues associated with anonymity of cryptocurrency. Yeah, some currencies like Bitcoin, they have open transactions that everyone could see them, but still in the process, the factor of anonymity, it makes the tracking of transactions much harder. The third problem is the very rapidly evolving technology. The regulations could not develop that fast as the blockchain could develop. We have new projects every day, I can say. We was 3x fund review hundreds of projects in the year, and there are really some amazing ideas, and the regulatory framework is probably should rush, and it's really hard to catch up with the technologies. Lack of investor protection, that's understandable, and fragmented regulatory landscape. That's again moving back to the lack of global consensus, different solutions from different parts of the world, and that's actually really bad. However, despite these problems, we have some positive things. Actually, according to the PwC report, some countries are actively working on global coordination of crypto regulation. And they, of course, focus on investor protection. They really interested in stable coins as the mean of payment, and some other authorities. They also worrying about the founders, about the startups, and they are trying to create the regulatory framework really innovation friendly, so not to kill the technology and not to kill the progress. And this is promising. Actually, this is really promising. And now I would like to switch to the PwC report. And there is a lot of nice insights there. Hope you can see it. Petro, can you confirm?
Yes, we can. Could you make it full screen?
Yeah, I'll try to. I think that's maximum what I can do.
Okay, we can see it.
Okay, first of all, I suggest everyone who is interested in regulation to check it out. It's really fresh. It has almost everything you need to know about the regulation. We will start probably from the table. They have made a very comprehensive table, including a lot of the countries with different states of regulations. So there are 4 states, even 5. The first one is there is already a regulation legislation in place. So these 2 mean that the countries are actively working on regulation. This means that countries are passive, and this means ban. And we have 4 aspects, just like the main regulatory framework, AML, CDF rules, travel rule, and stablecoin used for frameworks. Just from the like a very quick look, we can see that there is no like a common pattern. We can see very fragmented data out here. The same is here. So there is no common trend among different countries. So every country has its own state of regulations. What we can highlight from this table, we can see Cayman Islands, everything, they have all of the regulations. France, Germany, lacking stable coins. Gibraltar, everything. Malaysia, lacking 1. Mauritius, Switzerland. So we can see that offshore zones, tax-free zones, they have full crypto regulatory framework. In Europe, the progress is pretty solid, as we can see, like in the main countries, Germany, France, Estonia, they are actively working. China, full ban. The United States, actively working. So full ban there is also in Qatar and Saudi Arabia. But overall, from the table, we can see that almost all the most important countries are actually working on the regulatory framework. And soon we may see some progress, and this very promising and positive sign. I think it's understandable why. Just a couple more things about this report. So we won't read this text and won't go deep into details, but the key core idea is that some most important regulatory authorities like FSB, like Basel Committee, like FATF, they're actively working on different crypto regulatory frameworks. So the most important regulatory organizations of the central financial system are currently working on crypto regulation. And that's also very important. And just a quick summary from the report. They are preparing to present the solution in the time period from 2023 to 2025. So, for example, MICA, they have some incentives concerning creation of the EU single market for digital assets. It's also a really important incentive. You should check more information about it. And also this report include report of different jurisdictions. So for each country, they have a comprehensive overview of the most recent actions. The most interesting is the United Arab Emirates from this report. Let me find them. Yeah, so the reason for that is they are trying to create the Virtual Asset Regulatory Authority, VARA, and it should be like the first global regulatory organization for the crypto. And it's a very important thing. You should also check it out. And yeah, that's one of the issues, again, about regulations, that the global system lacks such organizations. Like we have in centralized finance, we have IMF, World Bank. We have nothing in crypto so far, and at least we are expecting to something like, we expect to have such authorities at least in one country, so it could show an example. For example, like SEC in the United States. So we are expecting to see some such organization in the crypto field. Probably it will appear in a certain country, but it would be copied to some other jurisdictions. Yeah, so concerning the prepared information, that's probably it. I shared everything I wanted with you, and probably we can continue our discussion, maybe answer to some questions.
Yeah. Thank you so much. As we can see, a lot of work was done by Ivan to bring us some light on regulations and to understand where are we moving. So I encourage you to ask your questions on our YouTube or Telegram, or where are you watching currently. And we will wait for a few more minutes. And actually, I also have some questions to you, Ivan. Maybe let's start from me. And the first one you mentioned about Harvey test, which is used to define is the asset is security or not. And what is your take on it? Because we know the test was created the beginning of 20th century. If I'm not mistaken, it was after 1933, something like this. And anyone in that time has no clue about cryptocurrencies and what will which technology will emerge in the future. So do you think that we need another test to define the asset? Is it a security or not? And use it for cryptocurrency assets?
I think so far it works well, but my projection, I'll tell some of my fantasies probably. So I think that there are three possible scenarios of how crypto will integrate in our current political and financial system. So the first, the most probably efficient scenario is the hybrid of the decentralized financial system and the classical financial system. So probably crypto tokens will substitute the securities, the stocks, and some currencies like CBDOs and stable coins will substitute the fiat currencies. But I don't think that decentralized crypto would replace the fiat system. I think the regulators won't let it go. And there are also some two radical scenarios. Either we will move forward to the full decentralized system, political and financial, or it would be completely banned and everything will be centralized. So I see three potential scenarios like for the future 20 years, 30 years.
Okay, thank you. And more on short term, are you expecting some impact from the regulations on the crypto market? And if yes, which assets can be most vulnerable here?
I think from the recent trends, the sexes, centralized exchanges, I mean, they will be under pressure, and they're the main tool of the governance. So they're main tool for the regulator to control the crypto flows, and they will be under pressure. And the people who want the crypto enthusiasts that vote for decentralization, they would proceed to DEXs, and the community would be split. Some of the just regular users, they will remain on centralized exchanges, they will pay taxes, they will be in the centralized framework, and some enthusiasts, they will still remain in the gray area, and so will use DEXs. Also, stable coins is a question. We see so far the Tether has proven that everything is backed and collateralized, and but BUSD has problems. Terra USD, usually stable coins usually have problems. And probably, I think the topic of CBDO is important, but that's a topic for another long event.
Yeah, I agree on that. I also think that projects that raised money from the community, from retail investors, which made initial coin offerings and offerings on various exchanges, are also in danger, because with the upcoming regulations, this project can be considered as a security, right? And then they need to comply with SEC and SVC with the XRP in Ripple. It's a big problem. It can make a lot of damage to the project. So if we are talking about upcoming regulation, we can pay close attention to projects which raised money from the community. Yes, and I can see that we have a question from Serhi. Obviously, thank you, Ivan, for the presentation. How do you feel about projects from state banks? For example, what do you think about the introduction of the electronic hryvnia in Ukraine?
Yeah, thank you, Serhi, for the question. I think those are the good incentives, and especially in Ukraine, we have a really nice ministry of IT. I don't know the proper name, but the things they're doing are amazing. And again, it's about the CBDO thing, and that will be for sure a future trend. So as I mentioned before, I think such governmental projects, incentives, they will substitute the fiat system and the regular currencies, but crypto tokens overall will replace the securities. So that's my vision, how the most likely scenario.
And in your opinion, Ivan, I will follow up, answer his question also, and maybe in your feelings, how you feel about the government will track the transaction that you are making with central bank digital currency are like the thing that people will be ready to provide to give access to all the information that is like coming from the transaction history.
It's very controversial because you know the government still has a monopoly on violence, and again, my vision is three scenarios. Either it will use its power to remain power, or it will transform completely to something decentralized, or it will mix with crypto, which is more likely, as it always was. Like the new technologies mixed with the old ones, and something new was created, new systems. So I don't think either radical scenario will be implemented, but something more moderate will be, in my opinion. What do you think about it? What's your vision of the future of regulation, like in few sentences?
Yeah, I'm also agree on this with you. And it for me it depends from the countries. For example, in Ukraine, I can imagine that everything will be like controlled by the government. With that, the government will have the access to mostly all transactions, and this CBDC will replace our fiat currency. In short term, it's quite impossible. I can imagine how it will be made. But if you look at some small countries, like you mentioned with El Salvador, for them this is okay. I believe they are ready to use these CBDCs and to implement like the whole tracking from government and to replace the fiat system for the country. And if you're looking about if you look at these trends with overall market regulations and defining crypto assets as a security, I believe this also is a big upcoming problem for some projects. And I'm not sure if all of projects that raise money through ICOs and currently are quite big will survive this. So I'm expecting that in short term, while the regulations will come to our market, we will have some impact on some projects which raised money from the community. So it's my take on the short term.
Thank you. Very nice thoughts.
Yeah, and also what we've seen recently with the regulation landscape in Hong Kong, it's also interesting for me because, as you mentioned, China in overall is anti-crypto, right? They are banning it and trying to like ban the technology from the country. But inside the Hong Kong, we've seen the landscape for future regulations the beginning of this year. And what do you think? It's more like a hype theme to bring more people to Hong Kong, or are you expecting that Asia will move forward with regulations to be like a competitor of United States in crypto?
It's a complicated question, but I think it's a bit overhyped, as Asia is really well developed in terms of regulation. Again, Singapore, Japan, they were the pioneers of the crypto legalization. Taiwan, the situation is really developing there. So Hong Kong, in my perspective, is a bit behind some other Asian countries, but it's the most probably important financial center in Asia. So it's huge move forward. I think sooner or later it will be a hub. There will be some concentration around Hong Kong, but I don't think it will be like a boom or something.
Yeah.
It will be really steady, gradual, and we won't even see it.
Yes, I've also heard that they're trying to bring a lot of investors into this hub in Hong Kong. They have good tax policies. Actually, I believe it's a zero taxation on realization of capital in Hong Kong, if I'm not mistaken. So it's like a favorable place to like locate for investors. So we can see more people will go from other Asia countries to Hong Kong. And recently, we've been communicating with big Asian startup, which has its headquarters in Singapore. And with this regulation landscape from Hong Kong, they are now considering to move their headquarters from Singapore to Hong Kong. And they're expecting that this hub will grow in the future. And actually, if everything is transparent and you have clarification on the regulation, it's better when you are in doubt and you don't know what is the near future for your project. So I'm expecting that Hong Kong, in terms of acquiring and bringing more startup founders and investors, will grow in the near future. So it's my take here.
Yeah, very nice. Thank you.
Okay, I can see that we have no question left today. So it was a pleasure to hear from you, Ivan. Really nice, insightful article, and I believe we covered some good questions here. And thank you everyone for joining us today. We will wait you next week on our LinkedIn Live, and we will cover some other topics that will be insightful and interesting for you. So thanks again for joining us today, and enjoy your weekend.
Thank you, everyone.
Yeah, goodbye.